Coming to you live from the KDWN studios on South Durango, Pawn Talk Live, hosted by the voice of the Las Vegas Wranglers, Dave Carney, and the owner of the world-famous Max Pawn in Las Vegas, Michael Mack. Call in at 257-5396. That's 257-5396, and find out what your valuables are worth from the top expert in the pawn industry. Now, Michael Mack and Dave Carney.
All right, welcome to Pawn Talk Live here on News Talk 720 KDWN. I'm Dave Carney, joined by Chad Forster. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Michael Mack not here today?
He is not here today. He is not here. And I'm actually not the voice of the Las Vegas Wranglers anymore as it stands.
Well, you are.
Yeah, just
they don't exist.
Temporarily suspended as so the line is going right now. From what I hear, just full disclosure, they're secretly working on another deal to bring him back for the 2015-16 season.
Sure.
So I'm not holding my breath because I think I would croak pretty soon if I did that.
You probably would be dead. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. No. I'm sorry. I mean, I really want it to happen, but it's not going to happen.
Hey, do you think that I could pawn any of my memorabilia? You know, my Wranglers memorabilia, get anything from that?
Sure, you get $5-6 probably collectively. How many pieces you have? 25? Yeah, you probably get $5-6.
Yeah, all right, great.
Yeah,
hey, well, that's good enough. It gets me what?
You have anything autographed by your buddy Billy over there? I mean, because I'm sure that's worth something. Wasn't he the San Diego Chicken at one point?
That's right, yes. No, I think
you have him in a chicken outfit with a signature? Because that might be worth something.
Yeah, except they called him something different. It wasn't the chicken, but you're right there. It was the something, though. Very, very good point. And hopefully the Wranglers fans that are still here in Las Vegas are prepped up for some really big stuff, because from the rumors that I'm hearing around the hockey circle, and this, kind of goes free-flowing through the different hockey circles, there is going to be another professional team coming to Las Vegas as soon as possibly this upcoming season. That could be the American Hockey League. I'm not saying the National Hockey League, but something is afoot. And
so we'll just change the voice of the Wranglers, the voice of
whomever. That's right. We're just going to keep my seat warm until next season. There you go. All right, guys, but here on Pawn Talk Live today, we've got a real big show for you. Coming in studio today at 2:15, here in town for one of the many conventions that is cycling through Las Vegas right now. It's National Jewelry Month. We've got Tony Gallo. He's going to be joining us, like I said, at 2:15. Security expert. Tony was on the show with us one time before, Chad. I don't think you were with us, but very, very insightful. Tony, longtime member of the pawn world, somebody that has spent a lot of years in the business and has developed some security protocols for pawn store owners that are very interesting. So for the folks out there listening in the pawn world, this is going to be good stuff with Tony Gallo.
Security from somebody coming in and stealing stuff internally or externally?
Both. Or? Actually, it's both sides. Yeah, internal and external thievery. In the pawn business especially is very prevalent. Obviously, you have to ward against just outright thieves from the street, but the folks that are inside your store
sticky fingers
absolutely can rob you just as blind. Or hey, I'll buy this for $20. It's a $20,000 Rolex, and sell it across the street. There's lots of things that can go on in a pawn shop.
Absolutely. What's interesting? You and I were talking about this off the air. I think yesterday, as a matter of fact. The one thing about Max Pawn, I'm not just saying this because we work with and for Michael Mack, but Max Pawn is a completely different kind of pawn store than any pawn store you'll go in. Number one, it's the selection of things that are inside of it, but it's so clean. And then on top of that, Michael only hires the best people.
That's right.
I mean, these are good quality people, great personalities, very knowledgeable. And again, I'm not just saying that because I work with Michael Mack and work for Michael Mack, but it's just the truth.
Yeah, no,
it's honestly the truth.
Listen, when you go into Max Pawn, and again, we're not trying to be overly solicitous here at the beginning of Pawn Talk Live, but we are. But when you go into Max Pawn and you get a feeling that you don't get from any other pawn store you've ever been in, that much I can guarantee you. And almost, Chad, like you and I were talking about on the phone the other day, almost nicer than any store you go into. I mean, it's extremely. It's one of the cleanest, most well lit, and as you mentioned, friendliest places to shop. Now, that being said, we've got some holidays coming up soon here. We've got Father's Day coming up just around the corner. We've got graduation. High school graduations are happening basically all over the county next Friday. It's going to be June 13th, or 2 Fridays from now, will be graduation. So we've done this thing over the past few years called Moms, Dads, and Grads, starting with Mother's Day, going in, of course, to graduation and Father's Day. But right now we're looking at dads and grads. So for the dads in our lives, Chad, I'm going to ask you, what are you getting Pops for Father's Day? Because he just got himself a bionic shoulder. So what do you get the guy that just got a bionic shoulder?
I would give him an old baseball mitt. No. Honestly, we started something. My family started something a couple years ago where we, instead of buying gifts, and maybe this is just our thing, we have a vacation fund, basically. And what we do is we accumulate, and then we all go on vacation together. And, we've gone to a couple different places, Lake Tahoe and different places like that. So that's probably what I'll do. But I have to say, one thing that I do have my eye on, because my dad had, he's a bit of a troglodyte, but he's kind of coming around, right? He actually used
Big word, troglodyte.
Troglodyte.
Wow.
My mom got a new Kindle Fire, one of the HD ones, and so he has the old one. So something along those lines, which another thing that's great about MaxPawn is that they actually have those kinds of items, right? iPads and Kindle Fires and whatever, those kinds of devices down there. That actually might be a pretty good gift for my dad. I think he would like that.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a great gift idea. And the
he can play Sudoku on there.
And you know what? He could play with you. He could actually do Words with Friends. He could play Sudoku.
Words with Friends is not going to happen, probably.
No? Okay.
But I love that idea. Just not with my dad. He's not necessarily the Words with Friends kind of guy. He's more of a math guy. He likes the Sudoku, things of that nature.
Sudoku was really interesting. I took a long plane trip once. I was flying back and forth across the country for whatever, I can't remember, and I played the Sudoku, and it was interesting. But when I got on the plane, my IQ was about 97. When I got off the plane, it was 197. Now, I don't know if they gave me anything special in the plane that I can't recall, but that Sudoku, man, it really works.
It's tough. It's not an easy game, but yeah, it is. And those are the kinds of gifts. I mean, the kinds of things down there. Other things down there, down in MaxPawn that probably my dad would like. There's an air compressor down there. There's some tools down there. But he's pretty much set on the tools. But there's a great selection down there for fathers and grads. And obviously the technical stuff, iPhones, iPads, those kinds of things, laptops, great for graduation. I mean, absolutely perfect for graduation, whether you're graduating college or graduating high school. Both of those
even graduating the 6th grade. I mean, now
sure.
You got kids, you go from the, from
kindergarten, for crying out loud.
From 6th grade, into 7th, and, you're like, yeah, that's right, kindergarten. Heck, they probably be benefiting more from getting a Kindle Fire or one of those iPads or laptops. Start them off early when they can really, start to do something. Then who knows? By the time they're in, high school, they're developing, an app or stealing another app, like,
yeah,
Facebook.
Exactly. They're probably going to reverse engineer and build their own thing.
Listen, let me ask you something. Who's the smarter guy? The guy that invented Facebook or the guy that found out how to steal Facebook and make trillions of dollars?
You mean Zuckerberg?
Yeah,
Zuckerberg. Because the other guy only got a couple mil.
That's
he's all right.
Yeah.
But he's not a billionaire.
No, and but to Zuckerberg's credit, keeping it here with a philanthropic, $120 million he and his wife just donated to, I guess, Northern California school, San Francisco area school. So good job.
That's cool. But the majority of people in this country that have made that kind of money, have done some kind of thievery here or there, because otherwise it doesn't work.
That's right. Well, and then you always have to give some of it back. If for nothing else, it's a huge tax, relief, because when you're looking at, oh God, we really got to get rid of this extra $120 million. What do we do? Let's put in some schools. That works out great. Absolutely.
Well, because it's good press for you, and then obviously you get the tax break.
Absolutely. And
win-win.
Well, then you figure if you're developing a social network like this, where you're trying to capture every single person in the entire world, isn't it pretty appropriate that you start them off at an early age, capture them, right in the school, ingratiate them in the whole idea?
I have to say, when I was back home, my nephew was on Facebook, and he was answering this quiz, and it's something to do with points, and somebody else gets involved. And one of the questions was, it was like, do you think so-and-so's cute? Do you like, what's your favorite color? And then it was, would you turn your parents or somebody you knew into the FBI? I was like, that's kind of out of left field in this questionnaire. And then when you see, obviously after what Edward Snowden said and the stuff that we've been talking, it's like, wonder what they're using that for.
Hey, yeah, exactly. And by the way, Warren Buffett had nothing nefarious up his sleeve when he wanted everybody to try for $1 billion.
No, he wasn't data collecting at all.
Nothing. Not a big data collection.
Because that was feasible. That actually could happen. A perfect bracket in March Madness. That happens all the time.
That's right. Yeah, and actually, I think when we mean all the time, it comes in never. Again, here on Pawn Talk Live, guys, we've got graduation and Father's Day coming up so soon, but we do want to hear from you. The number is 702-257-5396. That's 702-257-5396. Get online with us now. We've got security expert Tony Gallo coming in at 2:15. At 2:30, we've got Seth from Hardcore Pawn. Seth Gold from Hardcore Pawn is going to be on with us. And again, we want to hear from you. If you've got items that you have left up in the attic, maybe something that you found in the garage, maybe it's an heirloom or something that has been passed on to you, give us a call. We want to hear about it. And Chad, we have heard from some really great folks over the last few weeks here on Pawn Talk Live and talked to them about some incredible items. Most notably, this is one of the ones that just bowls me over anytime we think about it or we talk about it, but was the wedding album of one of the most notorious alleged mobsters.
Alleged, yeah.
Exactly. I'm trying to air quote alleged mobsters in the history of the United States, in Tony Spilatro. And we get this call on Pawn Talk Live 2 weeks back with a guy that's got this and a couple of other artifacts. This is now, from what I think we're being told, is now sitting in the Mob Museum.
It's where it should be.
Yeah.
And you and I were privileged enough to actually see it and see the pictures inside of it. And Tony Spilotro next to Ace in the same picture, and Ginger all in one picture. Unbelievable.
Well, and I got to tell you what, Scorsese and his team, for not ever seeing these or only looking at an FBI photo, did about as well as you could ever do in casting.
Except for Robert De Niro, because that guy looked more like Rodney Dangerfield.
Well,
let's be honest.
A little thinner version of Rodney
Tall, thinner version of Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, but that guy got some respect, let me tell you what. All right, guys, we're going to step aside, take our first look at traffic here in Pawn Talk Live. When we come back, Tony Gallo with us. Stay tuned.
Enter 215 in the Kidon Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center. Good news. Couple of accidents just cleared on area freeways. However, we do have a couple of new ones. Airport connector at the 215, that is in the cleanup stage. Also, Horizon at the 95, that is between the two ramps in that area. Also crashes Charleston at Sacramento, Lamb at Washington, and Decatur at Reno. For the Kidon Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center, I'm Jim Dallas on News Talk 720 KDWN.
Your entertainment destination, the Showroom at South Point, presents
Bring straight jacket.
Wild, impetuous comedian, Jerry Lewis Live.
Jerry Lewis Live. Beats the hell out of the alternative, I'll tell you that.
May 30th to June 1st.
And Michael Gahn is the owner and CEO of the hotel. And he's really a nice man, Michael Gahn. He came to me during rehearsals. He said, Jerry, we're so happy to have you back. I said, thank you, Michael. He said, Jerry, I want you to know something important. This is our hotel. I said, let's sell it.
Don't miss the special engagement starring the Nutty Professor himself. Tickets available now. In person at the box office, online at southpointcasino.com, or charge by phone 702-797-8055.
Jerry Lewis Live.
At the South Point.
Dave Carney here, inviting you to the all-new Live Las Vegas with me and my new co-host, Chad Forster. Every Friday from 1 till 2, Chad and I break down top Vegas news, sports from around the country, and entertainment in a really fun way. Yeah, that's right, talk radio can actually be fun. Live Las Vegas every Friday at 1.
Now back to Pawn Talk Live with your hosts Michael Mack and Dave Carney.
And welcome back to Pawn Talk Live here on News Talk 720 KDWN. And again, just got to give a shout out to my friends over here from the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, John McEwen and his son Jonathan McEwen from the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, playing over here in the Coyote Country Studios. And they're going to actually be performing later on tonight. The Nitty Gritty Dirt Band performing later on tonight, 8 o'clock, over at the Golden Nugget. So this is just turning into a weekend full of downtown fun. You get great music. You get some awesome stuff with Zappos on Saturday. And, of course, you can go to the Las Vegas Camera Club, take a Polaroid of these guys, make it really last.
Yeah, Nitty Gritty Dirt Band is great. Great band to see in concert. They're fun. You know what I mean? It's kind of like and maybe a updated version, not updated version, but, you know, different generation, watching the Bare Naked Ladies, right?
There you
it's
go.
one thing to listen to them, and they're great, obviously, when you throw them in your CD player or whatever. But when you see them live, it's a whole different experience.
Well, and this, for me, they were such a transcendent band, because when I got to see the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band in probably the most intimate of settings, similar to what we're seeing over here in the Performance Studio, you get a feeling that bluegrass, that country music, that rock and roll are all pretty much tied together. There's not a whole lot of difference. And once you see this stuff live, you gain an amazing appreciation for, first of all, their musicianship, but second of all, how raucous that music can really be. So if you thought that, bluegrass and country was for sleepy old folks, no.
It's not true.
That is not true at all.
No, I think the perception has been changed over time with that. I mean, because it used to be, it was pigeonhole, it was very niche and all that. But again, I mean, it's great music, and they're just fun. It's a fun atmosphere. And they're they don't take themselves too seriously, and they're great musicians on top of it.
That's right. Yeah, and this has really turned into, like
Mr. Bojangles, another song I really love.
Fantastic. And I mean, actually, their latest, their big album that came out, maybe 5-7 years ago now. But Will the Circle Be Unbroken #3 had such a cast and a collection of different musicians on. You really saw how widespread their entire reach was. But great stuff again going on tonight. Golden Nugget, 8 o'clock. If you can get down there and see that, should be a great show. And I imagine the showroom is where they're going to be at the Golden Nugget. That is one of downtown's finest hotel properties still and all to this day.
Well, yeah, they've redone everything. The pool, I mean, it's beautiful. It's just a great look. I mean, it was a great location anyway. It was kind of the destination to begin with.
Yeah.
And then when they remodeled it and everybody else kind of, took the torch and went on, they kind of did the same thing and revitalized downtown on top of what Tony's done down there with Zappos and those guys. But, Golden Nugget, great place to go. great pool, and a great place to see a show.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of gold here, Chad, we're going to go ahead and segue into this week's gold and precious metals report. Now, I know you have been following the precious metals market about as close as anybody that's not, making a living off of the precious metals market.
Unfortunately not.
You geek out on this stuff. So give us a breakdown on where gold, silver, platinum, and the rest are this week.
Well, gold right now is at $12.50.
Wow.
And silver, here's the big story to me. I mean, $12.50 is a lot because that dropped basically around $41 from week to week. Last Friday it was about $12.91. Today it's about $12.50, and then silver is now at $18.83.
Unbelievable.
And I believe it was down below. It was like $18.75 for a minute today, but it's about $18.83. And platinum took about a $38 to $40 hit as well, dropping from about $14.90 or $14.80 something to $14.51 today.
Unbelievable.
But when you look at silver alone, okay, silver for most mines, if specifically, and this is the catch here, majority of silver that's mined is actually a byproduct of them mining something else. So they're mining for copper or mining for brass or whatever, and it's just, oh yeah, by the way, you got some silver. And that's where the majority of the silver comes. So there's not as many strictly silver mines, but those guys, it's about $17 for them to even get it out of the ground.
Yeah, per ounce.
Per ounce. So
right.
$1.83 isn't much to really write home about. And it's interesting. Now, historically, June, especially when we're reaching into June, is very bearish for precious metals. So there's a good possibility that we could possibly see this drop below $18 for silver. It could happen.
Do you think if it... okay, here's the big question.
Buy, by the way.
Okay,
Great time to buy.
What do you do when you see a precious metal like silver and you're below $17? How much? I mean, and again, you're not an investment specialist, so we don't want to put you onto that. But if you were just average Joe guy and you've got, $10,000 to $20,000 in liquid and, cash, and, you're a father of three and you're looking at a place to put this, this money, I mean, do you think that at $17, can it go much lower than that?
Well, I think you have to look at it. It depends on how you're trying to invest, right? If you're trying to protect the value of your dollar, this is the best way to do it in precious metals. Now, I'm not saying, let's say you have $20,000, you're not going to invest all $20,000 in silver and gold, but a percentage of it, and depending on the expert, in your comfortability, I guess your comfort with it, I should say, 10 to 20% of your nest egg could go into something like precious metals because it hedges against, inflation, and it's a good place to lock in your purchasing power, okay? So that's the key here. It's locking. So when you don't look at it, it's not like looking at the Dow, okay? The Dow is at 16,700, which is a record, by the way. I mean, we're in record territory almost every single day, even though it dipped a little bit today. Those are just inflated imaginary fiat currency numbers. When we're talking about gold, that $1,250 for an ounce of gold, what it cost you to buy a suit back 150 years ago, 1 ounce of gold, was basically for the same line of suit that you would buy now. About $1,250 is probably about the same price, right? When gold used to trade for $35, you could buy a nice men's suit, and about the same. So the purchasing power never changes, right? And it hedges against inflation. So that's the way to look at it. So it's not really about making bundles of money. It's about protecting your assets. And again, I think you look at a percentage, whatever you're comfortable with, 10, 5, 10, 15, 20%. You don't want to go too much more. You don't want to go put all your eggs in one basket. But it's definitely a great place to protect your money.
Well, okay. I mean, so in that case, I guess the only question that I have is when do you start to look at a precious metal, as not a good investment any longer? Or is there ever a time? Because, I guess it could be akin to real estate, right? I mean, even though we had, a real horrible real estate correction, real estate in principle is still a solid investment. And I would imagine the precious metals would be the same. But I've got to ask you, I mean, we're looking, a year and a half ago, I'm doing this show. Doing the Pawn Talk Live, different radio stick, but we're doing the show. Gold is $1,800 an ounce.
Yeah,
and now we're looking at losing roughly 30% of that value there at about $600. As an investor, do you ever get worried that you have possibly put your money into something that will never recoup its value?
I don't, because it's just the explanation I gave you about the reason I invest in gold and silver. It's about maintaining my purchasing power. It's not about making bundles of money. It's about protecting my assets. Because when you look at the degradation of the dollar, the fact that the dollar is worth less and less, when gold drops to zero, which it never will, when it really, really drops, honestly, what that says in a lot of ways is that your economy is getting healthier. But the problem is we're talking about physical gold and silver, and then we're talking about the COMEX. We're talking about paper trading. Well, this trading that they do, they can dump as much paper as they want, and it looks like the effect of people bailing out and getting rid of gold. But the reality is the demand is higher than it's ever been across the world. And in certain countries, they have major premiums, like in India and stuff, that the demand is so high, they've actually tacked on premiums. So instead of costing you $12.50, it's going to cost you, $13.50, $14.50 in that nature. So the demand is high. So if you just basic economics, when the demand is high and the price goes down, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, it doesn't. And that's where I would direct you to if you're out there listening to us now. You have a question about gold and silver. Give us a buzz here, 702-257-5396, 702-257-KDWN. We want to kick this around a little bit because I'm interested to hear what other people who have invested a lot of money into the gold, silver, precious metals market, what they think about the investment now. And I happen to be with you that, when we look at purchasing power, we buy things that can hold through time. Now, whether or not that's gold and silver, here on Pawn Talk Live, we often talk about Rolex watches. We talk about things like art. We talk about luxury handbags. These are also items that are similar to gold and something that can actually retain its purchasing power. And for the same kinds of reasons, Chad, that you mentioned there, these are things that have a value that's over and above a paper dollar currency, which, as we know, should the world go into, a certain shift in economic collapse in a country, say China and Russia's $400 billion pipeline, usurps the dollar as the world reserve currency, we're going to need to have the backing of gold, silver, and tangible items, whether or not, that's watches and handbags. You're going to want these things.
Yeah, and you want to physically hold them in your possession, because if there ever is a financial collapse of any kind, and there's bank runs and things of that nature, you won't be able to get to your money.
No.
And not only that, but it will be devalued by half or more, depending on the situation. Well, where gold, silver, platinum, they hold their value and actually appear to go up because if the dollar drops in value, it's automatically going to raise the price of gold and silver. And as I've been talking about, there has been a manipulation in the gold and silver and platinum market. They have been driving this down on purpose, and now it's starting to come out that they're dumping these papers and they're fixing the market. This is getting out there. So again, it's going to lend itself to the fact that at some point the bubble's going to burst and it's going to go through the roof.
All right. Well, there was our precious metals report brought to us by MaxPawn. There it is. Yeah. Go ahead, play it up.
Get ready to get your gold on. The Precious Metals Report is brought to you by Max Pawn and their new luxury showroom at the corner of Sahara and Jones, and online at maxpawnlv.com.
Yeah, you see how we did that?
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
That was a good way to put a button on it right there.
That's right. That's what we're doing. End of discussion. Now, if you do want to call us, 702-257-5396 here in studio. And again, Chad, talking, about pawn, all things pawn. I mean, obviously, Max Pawn is a pawn store, but it's also a high-end retail store. And if you're in the market to pick up certain items that can hold their value, things that can really stand the test of time, great place to go down and shop. Another place that I want to tell people about that's great to shop for holding your value and is a friend of Max Pawn, a store that works in concert with Max Pawn. Sahara Coins on the corner of Sahara and Tenea. Great friends of ours, great friends of the show. This is a company similar to Max Pawn that's really helping folks out with making investment and purchase decisions. So when you look at where you're going to be putting your money, you look at maybe a Rolex watch, a high-end handbag, or even non-numismatic coins, you've got a couple of different options. And like I say, the two work really well together. Now, it looks like we've got a question here on line one. Michael with a question on silver. Michael, thanks for joining the show. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Hey, I know they say there's no stupid questions, but I'm confused. I was talking to somebody about silver, purchasing it and buying it per ounce at the price that it is, and someone was telling me there's two different prices per ounce. One's rated at 28 grams is in an ounce, and one is 31. So is it better to buy it in grams or ounces?
Well, like I said, it just really depends on your point of view and who you're buying it from. But, I mean, this is why instead of buying it online, I mean, there's definitely places you can do that and it's safe and all that. I like to physically go somewhere and have a conversation with somebody. This is what they do for a living. And, again, I'm no expert. I'm just a guy that's been buying it for 7-8 years or whatever. But that's, I go down to Sahara Coin. Those guys are very knowledgeable, and they can talk to you about that. But when I buy, there's a couple of ways of buying it. You can buy what they call junk silver, which are like dimes and quarters and things of that nature, pre-1965, 90% silver. Or you can just buy a round. That's the way I buy it. I buy a whole ounce, a round of 0.99% silver. So it's almost 100% silver. And that's what I buy. And as far as the grams and ounces, and it just depends on who's who you're conversating with, basically.
Well, and just so you know here, though, Michael, there is 31.1 grams in and out. So when people are talking about this, there used to be a way that they would measure things in penny weight or in grams. But when we're talking now, 31.1 grams in and out. So if you see something for 28 grams, it's not a full ounce. Be careful with that. All right, but that was a great question. Thanks so much. And again, we appreciate all the calls here, 257-5396. That's 702-257-KDWN. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Seth Gold from True TV's Hardcore Pawn. Stay with us here on Pawn Talk Live.
It's New Vista's Adam and Eve's Charity Love Fling on Friday, June 17th at Hyde Bellagio. Enjoy a night filled with beautiful people as they auction off Las Vegas's most generous and gorgeous singles to benefit New Vista. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. For more information and for tickets, go online to newvistanv.org.
KDWN Las Vegas.
AP Update. I'm Diane Kepley. VA Secretary Eric Shinseki is out. He's resigned in the face of the crisis over deadly delays in treatment at veterans' medical centers.
First, Shinseki apologized to a veterans group for what he called a breach of trust on his watch.
It is indefensible and unacceptable.
Then went to the White House to tender his resignation. He told President Obama all the calls for his ouster had made him a distraction.
He felt like new leadership would serve our veterans best, and I agree with him.
The president also said wait times and phony lists are unacceptable and vowed a fix. As the VA moves to fire managers involved and halt their bonuses, Acting Secretary Sloan Gibson's in charge, while Obama seeks a permanent chief to take over the repair job. Mark Smith at the White House.
Among the reaction on Capitol Hill was House Speaker John Boehner, who said one personnel change cannot be used as an excuse to paper over what he called a systemic problem. AP Update. I'm Diane Kepley.
The news brought to you by the Home Depot. Now at the Home Depot, get 4 bags of Scott's Earth Grow colored mulch for just $10. Let's do this. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot.
It's 2:32 on the Kid on Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center. Several problems on Interstate 15 northbound. That's south of Charleston. 15 north of Russell. Look out for some debris and suddenly swerving vehicles there. Southbound 15 at the 95 near the Spaghetti Bowl. Horizon at the 95, and that's actually between the two ramps. Charleston at Sacramento and Lamb at Sunrise. For the Kid on Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center, I'm Jim Dallas on News Talk 720 KDWN.
You hear a lot of talk about gold these days. What, with the stock market and more upheaval than tumbleweeds in a tornado? The world-famous Max Pawn is your gold spot in Las Vegas. Don't just send your gold into some random TV guy for pennies on the dollars. Go where you can see what your gold is really worth and get guaranteed market rate for your gold, silver, diamonds, and more. Come visit the world-famous Max Pawn in Las Vegas at the northeast corner of Sahara and Jones or online at maxpawnlv.com.
Sometimes people put things off because of their budget, but your health and appearance shouldn't be one of them. AQ Denture and Implant Center has been serving the Las Vegas and Henderson areas with affordable quality dental service for nearly 40 years. Crowns, bridges, dental implants, denture repair, or extreme dental makeovers at a price you can afford. So if you have a problem with your teeth and you don't know what to do, pick up the phone and call AQ. 702-565-6000. 702-565-6000. AQ Dental. 702-565-6000.
Now at the Home Depot, you can get 10% off appliances $397 or more. So let's do better features for fewer bucks. With savings on brands like LG, Electrolux, and Samsung, you can cook smarter, rinse cleaner, spin faster, and chill sooner. Let's do this with 10% off appliances $397 or more. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Valid through June 4th, U.S. only. See store for details.
This Sunday on History, it's an all-new season of Mountain Men.
There's an element of danger every time you walk out the door.
That's the way it is.
It's a dangerous way of making a living. So many different things that could kill you.
There's no room for mistakes. I'm nervous about having my girls out in the bush with me. To be a mountain man, live in the mountains, it's always been my life. This is who I am. You just have to live your life.
Watch the season premiere of Mountain Men, Sunday at 9/8 Central on History. Made every day.
Now back to Pawn Talk Live with your hosts Michael Mack and Dave Carney.
And welcome back to Pawn Talk Live here on News Talk 720 KDWN, streaming worldwide at pawntalklive.com. I'm Dave Carney, joined by Chad Forster. Michael Mack is out of the studio today, guys, handling some fun stuff. And like Chad says, it's kind of like, a permanent semi-vacation thing, right? So you're an owner of a really successful pawn store. You get to go on, awesome vacations. You get to do cool stuff.
It's a good life.
You get to kind of just, live it as you dream. So, Michael, hope you're having a great time out there. Joining us here on the line, though, guys, a great friend of the show and somebody we haven't had a chance to talk to in quite some time, Seth Gold from True TV's Hardcore Pawn. Seth, how the heck are you, man? Great to talk to you.
Doing well. Where do you get this vacation time, though? I'm currently in Detroit working at my shop. What's Michael doing?
See, Michael likes to live the life of the celebrity TV pawn star without the without the TV show. He's got the radio thing. He's cool.
I need to find out where you get that memo because it hasn't passed my desk yet. So we'll get on that.
Hey, well, you're in one of the most hardworking cities in America. You're in Detroit. You're in the place where autos are made, and should I say autos are made well again. Seth, let me ask you, with the thaw up here, it's starting to come into springtime. How is your business changing? Are you guys finding, a whole lot more, customers coming in because the weather's starting to warm up? What's it like for you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of good things happening in Detroit right now. This weekend's the Detroit Grand Prix, and we're also holding an event at the shop tomorrow where the Detroit Symphony Orchestra is coming in and giving a performance. So we're generating a lot of traffic, a lot of buzz, and having a good time with it.
Well, I mean, first of all, I know that you guys always have a great time, as evidenced by the millions of viewers every single week that tune in to Hardcore Pawn. And I just have to tell you, man, since I first got to meet you a couple of years back, seeing where you guys are at now, where the success of the show has gone, where the success that you guys have all had, personally has gone, your dad's book, of course, being a #1 bestseller there. I mean, how has life changed for the Golds? I mean, what's different now than it was 2 years ago?
You know what's weird? I'm sitting behind my desk right now. I came to work at 9:30 this morning, so not really much has changed. We get recognized when we go out. It's great. It's helped the pawn industry and obviously helped us, gain some notoriety. But you know what? We're hardworking people. We're still in the shop. Me and my dad are here today. My sister isn't here, which is lucky for every one of my other customers that are coming in. But, it's one of those things where we haven't let it go into our head because I understand that this thing isn't going to last forever. So where do we make our money? How do we support the community? It's at American Jewelry and Loan.
So, Seth, there's a lot of people that actually believe that you don't work, that you just are on TV. You're actually there doing work. That doesn't go away just because you're on TV.
No, like I said, I didn't get the memo. When you're on TV, you don't have to work anymore.
Well, listen, I think it's a Las Vegas pawn store thing because because the other guys that are really famous on their pawn show, they don't work there either. You know what I mean? And so I guess maybe Michael takes that cue.
Exactly, because he doesn't get it from me. So.
Well, you know what, Seth? I mean, obviously, like you said, you guys are still in there grinding out, and working day to day. I mean, your pawn store, one of the most successful probably in the country. But, I know that your sister, Ashley, she's been branching out a little bit. She's got a podcast in the work called Pawn Chick Live, I believe, or Pawn Chick Radio. Yep. So she's starting to branch out. And I'd asked her the last time she was on the show if she had any desires to work outside of the pawn industry, maybe do a Hollywood thing. And I know we've talked about that before, but, are you starting to seriously consider these things as, you look at the run of the show and where that goes and, and how the business is going to be in the future?
Yeah, who would have ever imagined that we'd be on for 4 years on a successful TV show? So my sister's branching out, doing her Pawn Chick Radio. My dad's giving motivational speeches. And for me, it's about doing what I know how to do, and that's within the business. So, each one of us are kind of diving into like some side things, but overall, we know where our true heart lies and ultimately what we're supposed to do.
That's great, man. Well, listen, it's always fun to catch up with you here because, we watch the show, every single week out here in Vegas, and the audience continues to grow, Seth. And that's what I have to say is probably the most surprising, where you look at some of these other programs starting to, I wouldn't say fizzle out, but wane in some of the popularity because of all the spinoffs that have come. True TV's Hardcore Pawn continues to be the staple of the entire network.
Right. It's very exciting to be part of True TV. We've been there for 4 years, and how many shows can say that? So, come when we're not going to be on anymore. But while it's still around, while people are still enjoying it, we're going to continue to make it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to tell you, I mean, we're always, enjoying it here. First of all, I like to watch it as what I call research. So then that way I can write off, I can write my DirecTV bill off that way. It's like, yep, watch Hardcore Pawn. All right, check that. But I look at where it's going for you guys, the golds. I mean, you said your dad out there on the speaking tour, which is fantastic. Your dad, a fantastic speaker, great orator, and a guy with a ton of knowledge. And you look at what you're doing in the pawn industry. Now, last year you were honored as probably the highest honor in the pawn industry, National Pawnbroker of the Year. What do you see different about the industry in a whole this year from last year? Do you see any major changes?
Obviously with the gold market, there's been some shift in what people are bringing into the store on a day-to-day. So, you're making loans on a different type of merchandise. People are bringing electronics, things like that. So the grand days of the high gold prices are coming to an end. So more people are coming in, purchasing gold because we're able to discount it at a great rate. So, the pawn industry is a unique industry in which you can shift on a dime and you can play the trends and look at what's coming down the pipeline. So, you just maneuver yourself and hopefully stay ahead of the curve.
Seth, you just were talking about gold there and silver, and Dave and I were just talking about how much this week it's dropped pretty significantly, especially silver dropping below $19. What are your thoughts moving forward and knowing historically, obviously, June very bearish for precious metals in the next month or so with gold and silver?
Yeah, it's one of those things that you're looking at the market every day. It keeps going down, down, down. I'm a bullish kind of guy, so I invest every day. So it's one of those things that if you're looking to buy a pretty good commodity, I would still venture out and secure some gold.
Well, Seth, I want to keep you on the line here with us. We've got a caller here in Las Vegas, Jeremy Sivers, who has some British coins, and I'd like you to be our resident pawn expert if you can here. We're going to bring Jeremy up. Jeremy, you're up here with Seth Gold from True TV's Hardcore Pawn, Chad and Dave here on Pawn Talk Live. Tell us about your British coins here, Jeremy.
Well, first of all, thanks for taking my call. My father's from Britain, and he did a lot of work around the British Empire. He was actually a military policeman over in Rhodesia, which is now, I think, Zimbabwe, and he sent me literally probably about 30 pounds just in weight of old British coins. I'm just flush in George VI, George V. I've got shillings coming out from every orifice. I've got I just got this massive amount of silver coins. Some of them have obviously been very well circulated. You can barely make out the faces. Other ones are, none of them are uncirculated, but some are very crisp. And what do I do with this?
Yeah, great question, Jeremy. Seth, what are your thoughts here?
First thing I would think of, if you're local to Vegas, you go to Max Pawn. You have them evaluate it. You see if there's any silver content in it. If they're older, they're going to have some silver content in it. So go in, check it out, and you got some experts there that can help you out.
Now, what do you think here, Seth? Well, we've got Jeremy with us. He mentioned that these had been well circulated coins, but British coins. Do you know if they carried for a longer period more silver content, or was it fairly similar to the United States production?
Well, I'm looking on the internet right now, and prior to, in the United States, prior to 63 and 64, there was some silver content. So it seems to me that there's some silver in those coins, the 1920s, the George V. So you might have to be sitting on something that's substantial.
Yeah, that sounds really great. And Jeremy, like Seth just mentioned here, we're obviously talking pawn here on Friday. And go down to the world-famous Max Pawn, the corner of Sahara and Jones. We're going to go ahead and let the folks know that you called us today on the show because they can help you out. Take a look at these items without, rushing you to judgment. You don't want to do anything too hasty because some of these coins may have numismatic value, which could be worth more than just their weight in silver and gold, etc.
And that was my second question. Am I looking more at scrap weight, or am I looking at some actual value in these coins in themselves, like collector value?
Well, that's where the evaluation would come in. You have to get them evaluated because we'd have to know what years they are and what condition they're in.
Yeah, but
I've thought about getting these evaluated. I just feel kind of embarrassed coming in with literally 30 pounds of coins.
Well, I wouldn't come up with all of them. Just take a select few, and I think that we could probably get a good idea of what you have.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be the way Seth would advise you back there too. Is bring in a handful, bring in a good, a good range of your kinds of coins from the most well worn, the most well circulated to the finest and most near mint, and just show them to the guys and say, this is kind of what we're looking for. But, I got to tell you, every single day, not just here in America, but all over the world, people stumble across absolute fortunes they had no idea that they had. Now,
it just happened.
I was going to say that couple in California. Now, unfortunately, they have already gotten themselves into the tax-paying realm here because they shouldn't have told anybody about these coins. So, Jeremy, I hope we're not putting you in this situation where a year from now you're like, man, I owe the government like $1 million for all this. But great call here. Thanks so much for joining us on the show. And go down and see him, corner of Sahara and Jones. Tell him we sent you.
Great. Thanks for taking my call, guys.
All right. Thanks so much. And Seth, thanks so much for helping us out today here with this call. And it's great to catch up with you guys. Now, before we let you go, Seth, I mean, Hardcore Pawn, in its 8th season now, I believe here, like you said, 4 years at True TV. What are the future plans? Are we going to see more episodes? Are you guys continuing to film?
Yeah, absolutely. We just finished a run a few weeks ago, so we anticipate another pickup and more Hardcore Pawn to come for sure. But we did switch the night, so it's now Wednesday night at 10 p.m.
That's right, Wednesday night, 10 p.m. And, of course, you can follow up with Seth, with Ashley, with Les, the whole group at hardcorepawn.com. Don't forget, Wednesday night, 10 o'clock, True TV right here in Las Vegas. Seth, thanks so much for joining us today, and we will look forward to talking to you again real soon, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, our pleasure. We're going to step aside, take a look at traffic here on Pawn Talk Live. When we come back, security expert Tony Gallo in studio with us. Stay tuned.
And at 2:45 at the Kid-on-One Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center, a handful of trouble on Interstate 15 northbound south of Charleston. Also the Silverado Ranch on-ramp north of Russell. Some debris there on the north side. Southbound 15 at the 95, 15 south at Spring Mountain. Also collisions Horizon at the 95, that's between the ramps, Charleston at Sacramento, and Jones at Lake Mead. For the Kid-on-One Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center, I'm Jim Dallas on News Talk 720 KDWN.
Frank here with Frank's European Service, and I'm proud to bring you the KDWN Auto Tip of the Week. At Frank's European Service, it's our mission to provide the best European automotive repair and service experience in Las Vegas, and that includes helping you stay informed. Hi, I'm Frank, and this week's tip is cabin air filters. There's a filter in your vehicle that is the stop block for all the dust and debris coming into your car. These filters are important, and if they're neglected, could cause expensive repairs later on. A lot of people don't know if they have a cabin filter, which means a lot of shops don't know to check them. So check your owner's manual, see if you have one of these cabin filters installed, and have it inspected. They need to be replaced on a regular basis. Summer's coming. This is the time to do it. Be sure to tune in at KDWN on 4:30 Saturday afternoon for Frank's Car Care Tips, where we will be discussing everything and anything automotive related. That's Frank's Car Care Tips, 4:30 on Saturday.
Hi, this is Michael Mack, owner of a world-famous Max Pawn in Las Vegas. You ever wondered what those valuables are worth? Had a pawn question but didn't know who to ask? I have the solution for you. Join me and Dave Carney every Friday from 2 to 3 for Pawn Talk Live, here on News Radio 720 KDWN.
Nevada is shutting down all its coal-fired power plants, and by law, NVE must replace that power source with more renewable facilities. You know, like those gigantic mirror-driven solar complexes that are cooking birds in mid-flight. How much will all that new hardware cost? Billions? Will NVE start passing that expense on to you? Don't pay for everybody else's solar. Get your own. Go solar without killing birds and take control of your energy bill with no down payment, interest, or payments for a whole year. Get tax breaks, big monthly energy savings, and get something no one else is offering. A high-tech new device that protects all your home electronics and appliances free. And it comes with a $25,000 home appliance protection warranty. Paying $150 a month or more on energy bills? Get tax incentives and an outrageous $25,000 home appliance protection warranty. Call 1-800-MY-SOLAR for a free in-home assessment. 1-800-MY-SOLAR.
My home, my savings. 1-800-MY-SOLAR.
Now back to Pawn Talk Live with your hosts Michael Mack and Dave Carney.
And welcome back to Pawn Talk Live here on News Talk 720 KDWN, streaming worldwide at pawntalklive.com. I'm Dave Carney, joined by Chad Forster. And in studio with this very special guest from Sapphire Protection, Tony Gallo. And Tony, it's great to see you. We got a chance to catch up with you here on our Max Prize hotline a couple weeks back. You were good enough to give us a buzz. And we're getting a chance to see you today in studio because you're here for the JCK Jewelry Convention.
Yes, I am, Dave. It's a great convention.
jewelers from all over the world. The largest jewelry show in the world, actually.
And you talk about what a better place to have it than right here in Las Vegas. And let me ask you, for a guy like yourself, Tony, I mean, somebody that has to work with businesses across the country on a daily basis in your line of work, how easy is it now that you're in one spot, you get to meet up with so many people and get to use the great facilities? I mean, this has got to be a great business opportunity.
It's a great opportunity. Just being able to interact not only with the insurance companies, but also with the security companies that are out there, and then the actual end user, the jewelry stores, the jewelry brokers. It's an opportunity that you don't see a lot.
And you were telling us it's almost like the United Nations down there right now. There's people from all over the world there.
There are different sections of areas that I've walked in. It's huge at Mandalay Bay that no one was speaking English.
Now, do you have to be in the industry to go down there at this show, or can you buy tickets and go into it? Do you know?
No, you have to register and be part of the industry. And a lot of the people that come there are buyers who buy the stones for Macy's, Bloomingdale's, and so forth.
And we're talking. You said millions of dollars worth of jewelry. Are we in the billions here?
Billions.
Wow.
There are billions of dollars worth of jewelry. The security there is top notch, 100%, and the show is. Mandalay Bay just did a great job there, and just seeing it's amazing.
Well, hopefully George Clooney and 10 of his buddies aren't here trying to figure out how to get in there. And
hey, listen, they're thinking, why don't we co-opt these guys in here by the Clippers?
There you go. I mean? That's only $2 billion.
Throw another couple billion on the pile. Well, Tony Gallo joining us here from Sapphire Protection. And Tony, obviously we get a lot of new listeners weekly. For the folks that weren't with us a few weeks back when you joined us, tell us again about Sapphire Protection and what it is you're here to talk about with us today.
So Sapphire Protection deals with high-risk businesses. We deal with any retail company that has a large amount of cash and a very desirable piece of merchandise. So we focus mainly with the pawn shops, jewelry stores, convenience stores, liquor stores, firearm stores. Anything that would have a very desirable item that someone would want to steal. We don't deal, obviously, like with sweater stores or bicycle stores. And last time I was here, we talked about armed robbery prevention, and today I want to talk a little bit about emergency planning. As you know, June 1st is the official kickoff for the 2010 hurricane season. Now, Nevada doesn't have to worry about hurricanes, but did you know that the National Earthquake Safety Council ranks Nevada third in the nation for being at risk from large earthquake activity behind California and Alaska?
I did not know that.
I mean, I found that very surprising. And you look at Nevada, there's a lot of toxic material that goes back and forth, obviously, with their highways. And they do have a large electrical issue sometimes. So you do have emergency situations that can occur in Nevada and in Las Vegas. And to have a plan in place prior to that, I deal a lot, like I said, with the hurricane season. And one of the things that I see a lot, I'll get a call from somebody, the hurricane is one day away, and they want to buy some wood to board up their windows. You go to Home Depot at that point, everybody had the same plan. So you need to have a good plan in place. So my company, Sapphire Protection, helps design emergency programs and procedures for the pawnbroker. And we also design loss prevention and armed robbery awareness programs to assist the pawnbrokers not only to make them safe, but make them profitable. So we all know the basics of what should be in your emergency bag at the store, such as flashlights, water, and first aid kits.
What about pistols, Tony?
I can go on and on.
Are those in your emergency bag?
You can have. I don't have an issue with that. Obviously, again, there's that safety issue that you want to have. So if you're going to have a weapon in there, you want to make sure it's dry. It's not going to get wet.
Right.
You want to make sure the ammunition is secure, and you want to make sure that people that should have access do. But there are some items that are unique, that are overlooked, and this is what our company helps them design. And that's what I kind of wanted. I came up with a couple of items that you wouldn't think of. One of them is a whistle. A lot of people don't even think about a whistle. In fact, when I do my presentations and I do most of the pawn conventions, we hand out a whistle because a whistle has numerous value to it. First of all, you can alert people that if you're in danger, and second of all, you can let people know that they're in danger. And you should have a whistle in your car, you should have a whistle in your house, you should have a whistle on your boat. It's just a small item, and it's a great.
Or if you're
item to have.
offsides, you have to have a whistle.
Or if you're offsides,
Yeah.
Unless you're playing football, you need one of those too.
I mean, that kind of whistle. I mean, seriously though, any kind of whistle, right? Something that's loud, obviously.
A safety whistle,
right?
A whistle just to say, "Hey, I'm here," instead of you screaming and yelling. And
I'm assuming a dog whistle would not work.
That's not going to work very well.
It would work for dogs.
It would, wouldn't it?
It would if you run a dog.
Well, packs of wolves have been known to roam the Las Vegas streets.
That's right.
Well, we do have a coyote problem, but I mean, Tony, in hurricane riddled places, Florida, Georgia, the Panhandle in general. You've got glass. So most of those, stores you deal with are glass storefronts, and they've got all these valuables. I mean, what's the very first thing that Sapphire Protection does to advise their clients in case of an emergency? This is the first thing you do.
Well, when we go to their location or we work with them over the phone, the first thing we want to look at is obviously, like you said, the glass. Is there bars on the windows? If there's not bars on the windows, what kind of glass do they have? Is it a hurricane-proof glass? If they are they in an area where the winds come down? Pensacola, for instance, you can have locations in Pensacola that no matter how bad the hurricane is, the wind's not going to blow out the glass. But you have to look at how the building is situated. So would we put wood? I mentioned wood. If you're going to board up the location, you'll have to put certain tracking that you need up. And in these areas, they know what they need to do, and we help work with them on that. And that's the first thing we'll look at. Second thing we want to look at is they're safe. I think a lot of people, when they're forming their emergency plan, don't realize the value of their safe. I've dealt with situations in South Central LA during the Rodney King situation, all the way to Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. And your safe is so important that you have a good safe and that you pack that safe right before you have an emergency situation. Think about it. If you have an earthquake in Las Vegas, or you have a situation where you're going to be gone for 3 days, is the plan you should do. Put as much as you can in the safe. Even if someone breaks into your store, they're not going to get into a safe. It doesn't happen. I've seen them take chains, tie them around the safe, put them to a tractor trailer, pull the safe out the front through concrete, through cinder block, and the safe bouncing down the street, and you're still safe to not open.
And that's really, you hope that's the ideal situation, because that guy's getting caught.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, you're getting pulled over on world's dumbest criminals. And Tony, I guess that's, part of your job is really kind of, helping other business owners ward against some of the stupidest folks in our society and some of the smartest. I mean, you've got really smart criminals, really dumb ones, but you're trying to help business owners just keep themselves insulated from all sorts of craziness that goes on out there.
Exactly, and that's the one thing. You look at a business owner, and they're designed to sell their goods, their jewelry, to do their loans or whatever, and that's very important for them that they have to that they need to learn what's advisable, what's not advisable. Another thing just that no one thinks about is an extra large pair, now you're going to laugh at this, of sweatpants and a sweatshirt.
An extra large pair?
Extra large.
Okay.
And here's why.
Fat clothes.
Here's why. I can wear it, and I'm a big guy.
Right.
Or you can give it to a small person, extra large, and she can crunch it.
That's true.
Good point.
Because in Las Vegas, in Nevada, you have temperature, and people dress very lightly. If an emergency situation occurs and you're going to be there at night, or they're going to need to be warm, what's the best thing for them to do? Sweatpants.
Well, not to mention if the Zumba apocalypse ever comes to, you can start working out right there on the spot.
Listen, you're going to have your workout clothes, your whistle. I mean, heck, you could start a team. You know what I mean? Why don't you guys just get together and we're going to put you on the team?
That's right. That's right. And then the last thing is an old cell phone.
Great idea.
Even without a contract, most cell phones allow you to dial 911.
Do emergency call,
absolutely.
Emergency call. So you take an old cell phone, you put it in.
Man, I really like that. Tony, look at sweatpants, a whistle, and an old cell phone. I mean, that could be either you're protecting yourself or you're running away from somebody. That's one of two things. But listen, Tony Gallo, Sapphire Protection, thanks so much for joining us today. We've got about 10 seconds here. Tony, where can we find you online?
www.sapphireprotection.com.
All right, thanks so much to Tony Gallo. Thanks so much to Seth Gold from True TV's Hardcore Pawn. Chad Forrester, of course, my co-host, for Michael Mack, who is out of the building today. I'm Dave Carney. We'll see you guys all back here next Friday, 1 o'clock, for Live Las Vegas. Luxury shops in Las Vegas aren't new. What is new, however, is luxury meeting value. At the world-famous Max Pawn, we specialize in marrying the two. With some of the finest selections of watches, designer handbags, sunglasses, and more, the luxury never stops. Every day, new items are added in-store and online. From Gucci and Chanel to Hermes and Louis Vuitton, Max Pawn delivers all the top luxury brands at a fraction of the price. Visit us online at maxpawnlv.com or browse our showroom in Las Vegas. The world-famous Max Pawn, where luxury meets value.
And you'll certainly never forget your first car wreck. When this happens to you, you need an attorney who can help you get your car fixed, get you the medical attention you need, and help get you all the money you deserve. Don't deal with the insurance companies without an attorney. In a wreck and need a check? Make one call, that's all, to 877-1500. We'll fight to get you all the money you deserve and try to keep you out of court. I'm attorney Glenn Lerner.
Glenn Lerner is the way to go. Call 877-1500.
A new day, a new dawn. News Talk 720 KDWN. 50,000 watts of